Do we know why is the water cut off in the first place? Why is water cut off? I don't understand it. Is it because there's no water? Is this a lawsuit?
I think it is a lawsuit. What the Department of Water and Power says is we want to cut off the power. Now, in theory, they have this idea has some iota of logic. They want to, when the winds get so high and the fires are burning, they want to cut power lines in order to prevent these, the wires from being disrupted and adding more fires, that the power lines don't break down and causing more electrical fires due to the winds. Now that's one thing, but the cutting off then of the water supply, there should at least be some like backup generators. There needs to be an emergency management system that's put in place by these public officials that says, fine, we can, and then we're in 2024, by the way, 2025, okay? We can have a situation where we can cut off certain power so the power lines don't become another contributing factor to the conflagration, and at the same time allow homeowners at least a fighting chance to have the sprinkler system working so that the power can be on and so that their own potentially backup generators can work and operate. But they cut off everything, and they're leaving these homeowners left to die and left to their homes to come back to what this individual saw.
I can't understand. Most of the fires up in Northern California in wine country, a lot of them were started by sparks from the electrical towers, right? And then even the Altadena fire, there was a neighbor across the street from one of them that may have captured on the Ring camera the actual start of that fire. And it comes from there. How they don't keep those areas completely clear. I mean, when they know how fast they can spread in the wind, whether it's SCE or whoever it is. But I mean, these things are all going to reveal themselves. And then you have the Palisades reservoir being empty, the fire hydrant's not working. It's just one thing after another that's just incredible. And then when you start thinking about how angry people are going to get, and deservedly so, once the shock wears off and you're having to deal with these real circumstances. Rick Caruso is a guy that's getting dogged on the internet for having private water he has his own water fire department to protect the village.
It's smart.
And the village is standing because of that. And he could have been the mayor of LA. So he was forward thinking enough to take care of the village, a beautiful shopping property that if that went down, that would be horrible to see that visual. All of it is horrible. But he's smart enough and had the resources to be forward thinking enough to save LA if we would have elected him as mayor. But you make these choices in LA and in California and you sometimes have to live with it. But it's so infuriating, Billy. Yeah, but
I'll tell you what,
talking about
Tommy, if I can cut you off,
yours, there's a lot of lawyers with a lot of clients, with a lot of burned down houses. There could be a lot of lawsuits.
Bill, I get to say, but also what Tommy's saying, Malibu, Palisades, these are the richest areas. Altadena, the hills of Pasadena. Why is it not these poles being underground conduit? Why is it even a chance? Don't they learn a lesson from all these other fires? It just doesn't make sense.
And by the way, real quick on Caruso, in 2020, when LA was under siege and many of our great cities were under siege, I believe Caruso was responsible. I saw a tank, by the way, that looked like either National Guard or whomever patrolling that Caruso Center area, and the Palisades wasn't touched in May, June, July of 2020 either. So he understands what it takes. Look, guys, this is what's going on is we're electing people because they either hate an elected official, and it's so political. You mentioned my dad, and I'm grateful that he mentored me and raised me because he was the head of the Homicide Bureau in the Manhattan DA's office in the 70s. And there was a lot of mayhem going on in what he called Gotham at the time. But he said this wasn't about politics. You didn't interview someone and say, hey, Mr. Zenner, Mr. Kalin, who'd you vote for in the 2020 election? It doesn't matter. Because we're prosecuting murderers. There's either legally sufficient evidence to indict and then convict, or there's not. It doesn't matter who you voted for. And then similarly, in running our cities where we have innocent people, vulnerable people whose lives are at stake here and at risk, all we care about, by the way, is whether or not, you care about the smelt, or you care about this issue or that issue, or whether Thurgood Marshall was a good Supreme Court justice. This stuff is irrelevant. The big question is, are you fit for the job? Are you going to take care of people? Are you going to set up an emergency management system that directly deals with earthquakes and fires? Nothing else. We don't have to worry about tornadoes, thankfully. We don't have to worry about any other natural disasters.